It's time for your Talk Time Live exclusive.
You are now about to witness the strength of geek knowledge.
Folks, he is back for possibly the first time in 4 years. My God, has it been that long?
Oh
He is the actor known for playing the role of Shikamaru Nara on Naruto and the Boruto series. His name is Tom Gibis, and he is here to talk about his work on the series, as well as pretty much catch up with what he's been up to since the last time we spoke. So, folks, please welcome back Tom to Talk Time Live exclusive. Tom, how are you doing?
Good. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
Oh man, it's been a long time coming. I told you, like I've waited too long for you to come in. I enjoyed the last time you were here.
When was that? What you said it was 4 years?
The first time, I believe it or not, the first time I think was
during
I'm
pandemic,
going to say maybe
right?
2018 or 2019. But then we did the last time we spoke was 2020 during the Naruto Shippuden virtual panel.
Yes.
Along with the 8 other cast members, which, by the way, that was my very first video panel moderation, mind you.
Fantastic. You did a great job. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No, we did a lot of weird stuff during the pandemic and, like that. But it's funny because really I wasn't going out and doing signings or anything pre-pandemic. And I didn't have a Funko Pop or anything was happened or anything. And then pandemic hit, and then we did a bunch of events like what you did with us. Yeah. And all of a sudden, I had this, people were calling me to say, hey, do you do signings and things like that? And I was like, well, I don't have anything to sign. I was like,
you should hire me.
I was so, well, but here's the thing, like pre-pandemic, and I don't know what it was, but if you're a convention, you'd book Miley, who plays Naruto, Miley Flanagan. And then you'd go, hey, do you want like Shikamaru or Rock Lee or, and they'd be like, nah, we got Naruto covered. We got Miley. And that was basically it. And then
those are from non-fans, mind you.
Yeah, but that's, what? Promoters are kind of in general non-fans, or they're a fan, but they might be of a very specific franchise. So they like Dragon Ball and that's it. And they don't, everybody else, it's like, I don't know. They ask their staff, is that a popular show? Should we have those people? And I will say this at the top, because you reach a lot of fans, because they always say like, hey, you should come to Kentucky or whatever. And it's like, the joke I always make is we're like vampires. You have to invite us in. You can't just
true
go,
blood.
Yeah, I'd like to go to Kentucky this week and, be part of this event, because there's a lot of great events around the country. But so it really does matter. Fans, when you go to your local con or you sign up, or if you follow them and because they'll put out like, who should we get for next year? And you just got to hit them hard and say, we want Naruto people, or we want, Madara or Obito or Rock Lee or whoever it is, Shikamaru, hopefully. Yeah. and that stuff matters, because then the promoters go, we had a bunch of people requesting these guys. Can we work something out? And then it gets worked out. So,
And that's what I did when I first worked, work partnered with, liaison, I guess you could call it, with Repop. Because I knew Molly at the time before I knew any of you guys, Yuri or any of you guys. I put her name out because I knew her, and I got her down to Philly, and then that was her first working with Repop, and then it started working out later on with things from there. So yeah, it does help. People, fans don't understand, like, you ask for it, they will bring it because they want that money.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
When it comes down to it.
And I have a little, it'll be a humble brag kind of thing, but it's just bragging. It's just straight up bragging, because I always go to my agent and I go, do they know I have close to 600,000 followers on TikTok? And they're like, oh yeah, they know. Because the whole time when I didn't have 600,000 followers on TikTok, it was like, well, you have to have a big social media presence in order for us to do that. And, now I've got one, and then they're all like, because I think when I kind of remember when I talked to you before, I don't think I even had an Instagram account.
No, you did not.
Or I just had, just because you asked me like, where can we find you? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't have any.
You almost gave your house address.
Yeah. I don't even know if fans really wanted me to, be talking to them. But there's always fans that want to talk to you. But it turned out it was, huge amount of people wanted to talk. And
are you kidding me? Your character is significant to the Naruto Shippuden storyline alone.
Well, what's really nice about the show is there are so many good characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I get a lot. Like, people come up to me at a con or something and they'll say, you're my fifth favorite character.
Yeah.
And I go, I get it, because you got Naruto, Sasuke, a lot of people like the bad guy, so like Madara or Obito, and then you like get down to and then you get down to Shikamaru and Rock Lee, and, so you're kind of like, okay, I get it, but there's such great characters, and my characters had a lot of really great interactions in the show. Beyond the arcs,
absolutely,
not just a Shikamaru arc, but just like things he says to Naruto that help in his development throughout the entire series. So that's kind of cool to be that sort of character that kind of whispers in his ear and says, or helped him get over. Well, I'm going to throw out. It's been a long time, but spoiler alert, help him get over Jiraiya,
yes.
and things like that. Like Shikamaru has almost a blunt wisdom about it. He doesn't sugarcoat it. He just tells you, like, you need to get over this.
Right.
This is how I'm going to help you do that. And that's by living your life, and it's kind of cool. It's like kind of, you need that friend who says, you're not going to sit on your couch all day. Let's go get some ramen. That's a real friend. Yeah. Let's go get some ramen, that kind of thing.
They're not going to, right. Like you said, they're not going to sugarcoat you. They're going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
That's right. And he's very blunt. Shikamaru is very blunt with that kind of stuff.
He's kind of subtly the Wolverine of the group.
Well, I like that because I love Wolverine, and that's,
in a lot of ways he is. He's just like, he's straight to the point. He's a strategist. He knows what to do, how to get through it, and like, he's a great wingman.
And I wouldn't underestimate how tough he is either, because everybody goes, oh, he's so weak. All he does is his shadow thing, which is mostly to give exposition.
Right.
We can stop the action for a minute and go, okay, here's what we're going to do. Right.
Right.
But he's the, again, another brag. Shikamaru is the only person from the Hidden Leaf that takes care of a Akatsuki by himself.
That is true.
Everybody else has help, including Naruto, because these guys are really bad, but he takes care of Hidan by himself in the woods.
Right.
So that's kind of a cool, for being a weak character
which was such a pivotal moment in that series. I mean, and he had the coolest line.
Yeah.
Probably of all of the Shippuden series. So much so that in the video games, that's like your final move in there. And he just throws the damn lighter.
Right.
And I'm like, this is your grave. It's like, damn.
Well, yeah, here's what's funny too. Because, now I've been going to cons and I've been signing stuff.
Right.
I don't know if this is interesting to the fans or whatever, but so the most common interpretation of that line is that pathetic Lord Jashin or whatever isn't your god anymore. Mm-hmm. I am. And the only one that's delivering vengeance today is me. But that's not what I say in the show. That's kind of the collective. It's almost like, there's certain lines from movies like Luke, I am your father. He didn't say Luke, I'm your father. He says, Luke, search your soul. It's true.
Right.
I am your father, or something to that effect. This is
exactly. I think that's pretty much what he says. He never to the effect of what we always say.
So if you do the straight translation, you get one version, and then if you take the manga, that's kind of another version.
Right.
Then what we actually do if I can remember, on the show, I say something like, you and I believe in different things. I believe in the will of fire. Your God doesn't scare me. The only God you need to be worried about is me, because I'm the one that's delivering vengeance. That's awesome. So it's a little different, right?
Right.
The other one has kind of a better, I think, flow to it and more of a punch at the end. Like it gets you, like you get the goosebumps. So it's funny though, because if you look up that quote, the most common one was the first one I did, that pathetic Lord Jashin or whatever, which I love that he says, or whatever, like so dismissive. Isn't your God anymore. I am. And it's I remember we had a conversation in the booth because I thought it's kind of weird that I'm saying I'm his God. I felt sacrilegious, right? Like, I'm a, little Lutheran boy.
Especially for Shikamaru, especially for Shikamaru, who hasn't like really been like that type of character.
Yeah.
Up to that point.
But you also like, is when grandma walks in and she hears that line, like, what are you watching? you know, there's only one God and he's on Sunday and you're going to church, you know?
Right, exactly. With the soap in the mouth, everything.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I just felt like weird about it, but we did it differently, you know, than what, and it's a lot to do with translation. It's a lot to do with, you know, sensibility, and there's, you know, also how it fits in the actual animation. Right. So you can't really change. It's funny how you can kind of change the intention, but not. It's not much. I mean, both the way I did the quotes there, and there's like 3 different versions, right? Is because the manga has a different one, and so for all the guys that say subs the way, it's like, no, those translations are very subjective. You know,
don't want to get me started on that stupid conversation. Right?
Yeah. So, but anyway, either way, it's a nice little scene, and now I've probably ruined it for everybody. But
what is it like 10 years later? No, I'm.
But when it comes to what do you sign on the Funko Pop or what do you sign on a picture, you know, I kind of go like, well, this is what I said in the thing, and then this is, I have it written down, so I don't have to. Okay, this is what. And then the other thing too, I'll tell you. So recently, the Hedon Pop came out.
Yeah.
So I've been doing this thing where I'll get Hedon Pops and I'll sign on the side that pathetic Lord Jashin or whatever isn't your guy, you know, like, and I thought that's pretty cool. Like it's on, I leave the front open so that Hedon can sign it and do all that. But I thought, wouldn't that be fun to have that on a pop where you have both? Like this is your death speech, you know, on that pop. And so I got a couple of them and I've been doing them at shows, and every time I bring one, they sell. And I, you know, at first they go, do you play Hedon? I'm like, no, I kill Hedon. Well, and as we know, kill, you know, I took care of Hedon because he could be alive.
Before we actually get really into it, I gotta say thank you.
Went down a big rabbit hole there.
Sorry, it's a great rabbit hole though. I enjoyed that rabbit hole. Trust me. No, but before we really get down to it, like because it's been so long and I never got a chance to really talk after 2020. I just wanted to really say thank you first and foremost, because that event that we did in 2020 that I had the pleasure of moderating 9 people with 50 people in the room, mind you, that I've never done before. And it worked out
great, by the way.
Thank you.
That was fun. And I felt like we're all stuck in the house. We can't go anywhere.
But that's the thing.
And
that was the thing. Like,
I thought it was such a cool thing to do, you know?
But that's the thing. And honestly, I've thanked Molly and Lisa before, because it was their idea to help, to get me to moderate it. And I was like, I've never done this before, but I'm not going to miss on this opportunity.
Never say no. Never
exactly.
Say no.
Lessons, people. But I will say this, that panel, as we know, that was a difficult time for all of us. The pandemic was just crazy. Oh man, just so much craziness at the time. And that panel was a great way for people to get their minds off of everything that was going on in our world. And it was a lot. I mean, kids especially.
Well, I'll tell you, when we came out of pandemic, when we first started doing cons again, and all of a sudden an agent approached me and said, would you like to start doing cons? I'm like, are you sure that you want me? I was like, okay, sure. The response we got because none of us had I'm talking, Miley had gone out for years and years and years, you know, doing, since the show's been on for 19 years now. And probably 18 of those years, she was going to cons and signing. But the rest of us, I'd have maybe 1 or 2. And then, you know, in the last 3 years, I've probably done 35 or 40 events.
Wow. That's awesome.
I mean, and people like Rock Lee, Brian Donovan, and Obito, Toby, who's Michael Yurchek. Like we were overwhelmed. Like, what the what? And Doug Asama, Doug Erholtz, who plays Asama. I actually approached him and I said, because I'd gone to enough events at that point that I said, all they want to talk about with me is Asama. And I said, you have no idea how beloved that character is. And he was like, get out of here. That, you know, like, and it was almost like that was a show I did, you know, 15 years ago. Yeah, there you go. What are those called? It's
I forgot, but it's so cool. I was like, I gotta get it.
It's something with fire or smoke or whatever.
Right.
And they look cool when you know, doing this.
That's the point.
Funny. Like So we get our pictures taken there a lot. So I figured out, Shikamaru's little, shadow possession thing. And Doug was like, I don't know what to do with my hands. And I said, do that. And he started doing that in photos now. And it looks great because it's just like, it's anyway, he doesn't put the knuckles on, but he's good. So,
but honestly, like what I loved about that day, well, actually, I waited till after the whole entire show was over for me to get really emotional, but I was looking at the faces of those fans during that time and how you guys were making them feel and how excited they were to just be able to just, suspend their disbelief for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
With just talking about
where you don't have to think about, maybe infecting grandma or something, or
worse. Yeah. Because there was among worse going on during that time
in the
too.
beginning, it was really bad. Yeah. Yeah. And we didn't understand what we were up against and, all that stuff. Yeah.
And the word uncertainty was the word of the year for 2020.
That's right. That's right.
But you guys made that work for those who were fortunate enough to make it there. And I could not thank you enough because we needed that. We needed that for the time that it was in.
Is that online anywhere?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. So, if you guys want to see it, know what we're talking about,
you can go to talktimelive.com and you can find it right there. And it is the best. It is such a great time. Everybody from you, Molly, Yuri, just 9 of the coolest actors and most talented actors to really make anime what it is today. It is just absolutely phenomenal. And getting the chance to
funny? At that time when we did that, I have maybe I met Yuri a couple of times. I know Miley because we go way back. We used to do comedy in the Twin Cities.
We know you. We know especially. I went to New York Comic Con to her panel, and she said a little something that you guys do together. So,
we do yoga in the backyard.
Yes.
We talk about that. Yeah. Well, that came after pandemic too.
Right. Which is awesome.
We do what I call geriatric yoga. It's just stretching. That's all.
That sounds about right.
But I mean, I had not had a chance to meet any of those guys. When you work doing, especially with the ADR stuff, it's originates
Single
in
booth.
Japan and it comes here to the United States. Then we just do instead of having all of us come in together to do the dialogue, they'll do all my lines in 1 2-hour session.
Right.
That gets us like 5 episodes for me. And then it's kind of like we're playing this game of getting those 5 episodes. Then we move on to the next 5 episodes. And so like I might see Choji, Robbie Reist, coming in or coming or going from a session, or something like that. But it wasn't like we hung out or,
was
anything.
it,
we didn't
was
really
it, was the first time that you guys, it wasn't the first time when you guys met in the panel that we worked on, right?
A lot of them, I'm trying to remember who's in the panel. Like was Debbie Mae West in that? Because I don't think I had ever met
Mary Elizabeth McGlynn was in there. Steve Bloom was there. Yuri and Tara Platt, of course.
Steve I knew because we went to New Zealand together to do a con back in 2010 because Miley couldn't go. She said, how about Tom, who plays Shikamaru? And they went, okay. And so I got to go. And I was like, this is great, And anyway, so that's how I knew Steve. But we didn't really work together. That's the weird thing about it. We rarely saw each other.
In fact, here's the list of people that it's been a long time. So it's been like 4 years.
I don't think
Brian Donovan.
Higgins. Yeah, Brian I hadn't met.
Brian was there. Brian Donovan was there. It's the first time I actually met him and we did a show together. My first video interview was actually from him. Yuri Lowenthal, Tara Platt, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, Tony Oliver, Quentin Flynn, and of course Molly.
Yeah. So again, I knew him kind of like we maybe ran into each other, but didn't really hang out other than Miley. And so weird. And now we do these shows and it's a different combination of all different types of, because not all of us go at any one show, but a bunch of us might. So like Brian and Michael and I have become really good friends and we kind of hang out. That's kind of my, we call ourselves when we go to a show, because they book us together a lot, the good, the bad, and the lazy. So it's Rock Lee, Obito, the good, the bad.
And Brian is such a laid back guy too. He's tremendous. I can see that. That's perfect.
I love those guys. I love doing shows with them. Really, really good people. And, I got to say, in general, just about everybody I've met who's worked on our show, I don't know what it is, because there's other shows I've worked on where there's some real jerks, but I don't know if you can hear this, but they're blowing the leaves outside.
Oh, it's fine.
Okay. and anyway, it's such a great cast. Like, everybody loves seeing each other. Like, when we go do a show, I run into Kate or to Colleen, and it's like, we did a show last year, Pensacola, and Robbie Reese was there, and Colleen was there, and I was there, and Doug was there. We had all of Team 10. First time we'd ever been in the same room at the same time together. And it was really fun, and it's we get drawn. Can't say I watched the entire show, but I certainly know my parts of the show very well. Well, no, but it's like other people don't, they don't, you go in, you do a job, then you go to another job, and you're just like, what was that again? You almost have
because they worked on like 3 other shows or whatnot, and it's understandable.
Yeah. And it's nothing against them. That wasn't the point. It's just that, like, when Doug and I did an event, and I just looked over him, and I just like, that's awesome, and I got a little like choked up myself, like,
that's awesome.
he was talking, and I was just like, oh my God, yeah, that was a big deal, and it's just been so fun to hang out. We go out to dinner when we're on the road and stuff, and we hang out a little bit. And it's just been so great to just meet everybody. And the thing I thought about with this, just indulge me for a second. It's like when you do a play, right? Nobody knows each other. You get together, you do like 8 weeks of rehearsal, and during rehearsal, you get to kind of know each other. You go out to the bar, maybe go grab some food, and you get a chance to kind of meet them, and then you do the show, and you'll do, how many, whatever the run of the show is, 200 performances or something. And then it's over, and you move on, and you become friends with another group. We're doing it in reverse.
Right. Exactly.
We did the show, and then we're getting to meet each other and hang out and talk. And it's funny. Then we talk about the show a lot, which is really interesting. And then you go, oh, you didn't know that your character did that, or I did this. Oh, your character and his character, they're like best friends, stuff like that. We kind of figure that stuff out, and we just have a lot of, like, Brian, every time he sees Kate now, he's just like, I love you, Sakura. It's cute and it's fun. We do the panels, and we have a lot of fun talking to the fans, and but we have just such a great time with with each other now, which we never had that. Yeah,
that's what it comes off to. Like, I honestly, the funny thing about my show is that I think I've interviewed a lot of cast members from Naruto in it. I mean, from you to Kate to Yuri to the other 9 cast. Kyle Aber is like a good friend of mine, and I've had him on the show multiple times.
Nice guy.
He is so awesome. He is phenomenal. But all of you are. That's the thing. All of you are. You guys are genuinely just awesome. Like, on camera, off camera, your talent transcends throughout, and you're just like good human beings that I hope everybody gets to appreciate more than just the fact that you're playing characters.
I definitely agree with that. Brian Donovan, he does a lot of advocacy for people with disabilities. And he is that guy. He's Rock Lee. His heart is as big as, he's so, and that comes off. Like,
his documentary with his sister was just fantastic.
Oh yeah. Fantastic.
And you can warmed my heart and broke my heart at the same time.
You can tell when people are there to make money, and you can tell when people are there to, interact with the fans and create, a moment or something, so that fan comes away feeling like, yeah, that was really fun. And those guys would be fun to hang out with, kind of thing. And, and we see a lot of grumpy people in the green room, and it's not the Naruto people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we all come in and we're like, we're just happy to be here.
That is the one thing I'm so grateful of, is that, like, I've never encountered anybody from your show that has ever been in that realm. I guess I could call myself lucky on that standpoint.
Yeah. Well,
I've never come across any actors that has been on my show that has ever been like that.
I don't necessarily blame a lot of them, because a lot of these shows are like mixed. It's not just anime stuff. It's like pop culture stuff.
Yes.
And you can see, like, this guy is so big, and he's got so many people lined up. He doesn't have 2 seconds for you. He's just got his head down signing, and here you go. Thank you. Here you go. Thank you. And, and they're being polite, but it's like, I don't know. You see fans collect around Brian Donovan's booth and my booth and, Kate, and we're all just having a big old conversation and chatting and, doing all that kind of stuff. So again, I don't blame them because it's overwhelming. It can be very overwhelming. And
so much to the point that like fans don't understand it. And I mean, you do have fans who are empathetic towards it. And then you have some fans that just, they're entitled. And
yes.
That's the issue right there.
Miley's such a huge sweetheart, but her thing is she's got so many people in line.
Yeah.
That I've seen her like just get so tired, but she grinds through because she wants to make sure she's, getting to every fan that stood in line for her, And
I tend to ask her like when like she was here in Philly last year, and when we went to New York, like I always try to check up on her.
Yeah.
Because I see it. I mean, she busts her ass.
Well,
I've seen the crowd. I've seen how they react.
Super fan oriented, like if you look at her pricing and stuff, she could charge, a ton of money, but she doesn't. She keeps it very reasonable because she wants kids to have that experience. Not all. I always have like, I think I have. Oh, like I have stickers and stuff that I give like to little kids because I always feel like you should get something if you show up. Not everything's about money and stuff like that. And Miley's that same way. Like
she has the bands.
Try and create a moment. That kind of thing. And so but if that's not your experience, it's because she gets so many people. It's hard to keep that energy up that long, but she's great at it. She's a pro. Yeah. And
let me ask you this. You're back in cons, thank goodness. and you're able to travel and tour. We made it through, which is a great thing. Yes. What is some of the common things that people ask you regarding Shikamaru when they approach you?
Well, they like to talk about Asuma. That's
of course.
A big one. Although now it'll be, he's right there. He's sitting next to me. And sometimes people don't quite put it together. Like you have to like direct them to it. Like you're like, oh my God, I don't, so that's fun.
You're still alive.
They like to talk about, I don't know. Are you big on talking about the manga or spoilers?
More, I mean, you can spoil. I don't care. Like I grew up from a time where like somebody tells you a spoiler, and like, oh, I got to see this for myself. This day and age is crazy.
It hasn't been animated yet,
right?
But Shikamaru now has become the 8th Hokage. Oh, sorry. See, I don't know if you wanted to hear that.
Whoa.
So we finished Boruto, right?
Right.
So now the only new information that's coming out is they've done a 3-year time jump with Boruto, and now it's
that's what happens. Okay.
Boruto Blue Vortex, and at the beginning,
because he does grow up a little bit. He becomes like a teenager.
They do like a Shippuden, like how we switched
basically because in the beginning of the first episode of the Boruto series, he's already like there's a spot of him where he's already like in teenage mode or whatever like that, and his powers are fully manifested. So I know that part. I didn't know that part. Congratulations.
So we go through Boruto, right? The end of Boruto, basically when Boruto Blue Vortex starts, which is just in the manga right now. That's the only. Right. That's where the storyline is. They haven't started to animate it yet. They originally told me it would be about a year, but I kind of think it's going to be almost 2 years.
Yeah.
But which is weird because we haven't had a break in 19 years. So, but apparently they're gonna, they're going to animate it. But so Naruto is missing. Most people think he's dead. He's in an alternate reality, and I think this is all common knowledge.
No, this part I did know. Because at Molly's panel last year, somebody kind of revealed that.
And then Kawaki used a the thing with the mind, like Madara used. I don't know what that's called.
Yeah.
I'm
his
Naruto fan here, by the way. Any alternate reality thing. So everybody thinks Kawaki is Naruto's son.
Oh wow.
And Boruto is the adopted son. Basically, how Kawaki was kind of taken in by Naruto.
Right.
So they think he's the usurper. Yeah, that you know what I'm saying. It's the guy who took her. And so Boruto is being hunted. He's a wanted man because everybody thinks Boruto killed Naruto.
Wow.
So
I need to catch up. I haven't shown a jump account. I need to catch up on this.
The guy who's keeping the chair warm is Shikamaru Nara.
All right.
So hopefully I'll get an 8th Hokage pop. What'll happen.
Well, congratulations, Hokage elect.
Yeah, exactly. Kakashi was Hokage for a little while. He stepped aside and then let Naruto come in.
Right.
I hope it's not like you're really 7.5, like a Danzo. He's not really the Hokage. So in the end,
I hated that character.
I
love the actor, but I hated the character.
I'd like the title just for a minute,
Right. A little bit longer than Kakashi.
I'm sure he's going to get screwed out of it because he does, Shikamaru doesn't care. And he's like, there's little clues in there too. Like, so he knows that Shikamaru's on to the fact that Naruto might not be dead because he's so super smart.
Of course.
But if you look at the Mount Rushmore that they have, the heads on this, Shikamaru doesn't have a head on the mountain yet. It's still Naruto's is the last one on the thing.
Interesting.
And so I think that's a little clue that Shikamaru knows.
Right.
And he's not taken the mantle of the 8th Hokage. He considers himself just the acting.
Like an interim. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like, just make him just for 1 minute. Naruto can come back and have it, but just so he can say, his cloak has the 8th Hokage on the back. So
right.
But
well, let me ask you. This is probably the stupidest question that I know this, but how do you feel about Shikamaru's evolution throughout all the series up to this point?
I think it's great. They did some goofy stuff with him during Boruto that as an actor, I was like, there's a little plot line where Shikadai was being held hostage. I don't know if you remember that. And then Shikamaru just wasn't thinking clearly.
Yeah.
Obviously, because his son was but even as I was in the booth, I go, this is the whole scam that they're doing. They're getting into Shikamaru's head. And I almost felt like Shikamaru's too smart for this, but he wasn't. He played right into it. And I was like,
right.
I saw that one coming from a mile away, and I'm not as smart as he is. But and so those were the kind of things I like, okay, I'll play it. I'll do it, whatever I can. But I felt like, that's I don't know if that's our boy. You know what I mean? Right. I don't know if that's what
that's
he would
uncharacteristic
do.
For him at this stage.
Or he would act that way and then have something else going on underneath, right?
Right.
So that they feel like they're winning. That because he's really good at that. Make your opponent feel like they're winning. And then it turns out I put wax in my ear. I'm totally in control of my faculties.
It's the Ali. It's the Ali method. Like just keep taking the hits until he gets tired.
That's right. Wear them out. Yeah. Although don't wear them out with your face. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So, all right, here's my question to you in regards to that. So we witnessed 3 stages of Shikamaru's character in the evolution of the series. But among the 3 Naruto series, which one do you enjoy most portraying?
It's got to be Shippuden, right? Like he's got some great stuff in Naruto. The whole training exams, the whole with Tamari and the whole thing, like beautiful. And like Rock Lee, that was probably one of the best tuning exam fights. Was he takes the weights off? It's like he's been encumbered this entire time.
I love when they do that,
and he's holding his own with Gaara. It's like, oh my god! And there's a great little scene there where Gaara goes to the hospital, and Shikamaru bluffs him that you're not going to do anything to Rock Lee, because I'm here and we're at full power. We're ready to roll. And he sort of got Gaara to back down by bluffing,
right?
That he had anywhere near what Gaara could do with his power. And that's a great moment too, and like the surrendering to Tamari and the Chunin exams, all that stuff. But the whole arc from Asuma to Hidan with Shikamaru, it's freaking fantastic. Yeah, it was so much fun to play. There was so much great stuff to chew on there, and for a while there, I thought, is the only thing I do in this show is cry? What is? And every time Shikamaru cries, Tamari is standing around the corner, or it's like, what is that? Why is this girl seeing me at my weakest point at all times? And or maybe it's his strongest point. because you know that there's a lot more going on. And so maybe that's why she ended up, spoiler alert, marrying him.
How about that? So, which, we kind of knew that was coming.
Yeah.
Like that was the beautiful part. That was the beautiful part about like Boruto, is that we kind of seen in Shippuden, like all this was leading in. Into it. Well, there were some that were like, I was a little bit surprised of, but other ones was kind of obvious that was going to happen.
Right. I think what's great about that is because they're peppering that stuff. Like, it lets you know he's playing the long game.
Yes.
Right. Like they're thinking like way beyond like what's going to happen where, I mean, who knows? Maybe I don't know how far ahead they write it, it definitely is in the books first, but I mean, I think and for a while, the main writer wasn't, and I'm going to screw up his name, so I'm not going to say it, but he wasn't writing for a while. And then it was like, they had a kind of a team, a writer's team that was writing it. So, and then he came back and it was like fantastic. So, but yeah, you really have to, especially with all the Akatsuki stuff, they had to be thinking 9-10 moves ahead for every character. And just like, wow, it's impressive, really like how good the writing was through the whole thing, and then people complain about Boruto, but Boruto kind of reset and went back for little kids.
And you know what it is? It's just, here's my theory for everything, especially in this day and age. We live in a short attention society.
Yeah.
So we don't embrace and allow slow pace and slow burns to happen the way they should. Right. We have to have everything right now. And I grew up on slow burns, and it rewards you afterwards. And you you cannot have everything right now.
A lot of character development happens in that.
Absolutely.
That's like the reason you like Shikamaru so much, is because they took time early on to give him and Team 10 moments. Yes. And give Asuma moments with Team 10. And you're like, why are we spending time on these guys? Like, let's get back to Naruto and what his journey. But they did just enough of it just so that the crowd didn't get bored. And then you go, by the time you get to Shippuden, it starts paying off. Like, because you're connected to it, you're emotional. Like with Asuma, that let everybody know that Shippuden was different than Naruto. That there were stakes, and it wasn't like they're going to solve every problem at the end of 30 minutes and that they're going to win every battle. It was like, everybody's on the chopping block here, and for those of you who have not seen it or don't know much about it, I'll try not to ruin it too much, but there's a lot of major characters in Shippuden that just cease to exist. And I think, like, for a show for kids, but really by that time it was a teenager type of show, young adult, it gets dark. And I think that's why they like it. I mean, because it is dark. It's
if you recall back at the panel, I compared Naruto Shippuden to 90210. It was like it is anime's 90210 by all stretches,
with a ton of violence.
With a ton of violence and people you will never see again.
Yeah, well, just killing off a major character in 90210 would have been like, what? Brian Austin Green is dead? It's like, they would.
It's like Jason Priestley's go what?
Yeah, exactly.
But here, it's funny. I will say about Boruto that I do enjoy is that I actually enjoy, and I told this to Amanda C. Miller when she was on the show last year. I enjoyed the filler episodes, which is something that a lot of people often don't say about the Naruto series, but I did the filler episodes for Boruto are so enjoyable. I really enjoyed a lot of those episodes alone, and I thought that like they really got it right there, and they were a lot of fun, and you got to see, it was made. I felt like it was designed to let us get to know the characters more, in a lot of ways, because we needed to.
Yeah, well, and to me, I always tell people, like, it's mostly adults that come over and they're like, Boruto, and I'm like, I try and explain Boruto is like a reset. So if you think of Naruto, the age of the audience is like 9 to 13, right?
Yeah.
And then, it's all the tuning exams and all of that kind of stuff. And, them learning to do their craft.
Right.
And then Shippuden, it's like, now we're into teenager, young adult. Right. Whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to hit my mic. Teenager to young adult mode. And we as an audience have grown up with this, right?
Exactly.
So then you're all full on, okay, now I'm in my 20s. Let's take this story to the next level, right? Like like an R-rated movie, like it's John Wick now. And and they go, no, we're going back to the tuning exams.
Right.
The thing we don't tend to understand is that most shows that are made for kids, right? Like if you think of like even like The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody or whatever, or Lab Rats or something, right? They only run for like 3 seasons. And the reason that happens is because your audience grows up and they grows out of it. Right. You get this nice window and they go, and the kids are growing up. We don't have to deal with that. We'll just start a new show.
Exactly.
With that, with different actors and stuff like that. And even like, I don't know, I'm trying to think big, like X-Men 97, right? It was like 3 years. I think that was it. And then they went on to something else. And it's just because you lock into that audience. It's very popular for that audience. And then they grow up and, they went from 13 years old and to driving a car. 13 years old, you're not interested in girls and you're not interested in cars, to now you're 17 years old and you have no time for anime.
Right.
Because I got girls and I got cars.
We like to hope so.
Yeah, or whatever you're into. I'll just say that. But what I'm saying is that period of a person's life, a lot of things change. And so, you go off to college or something.
Right.
Although now I got to say you go to college and there's an anime club. You go to high school, there's an anime club. That didn't exist, 10 years ago.
Are you amazed at how big the industry has gotten?
Oh, it's crazy. I mean,
it is insane.
When you think about it, used to be this little niche thing, and then you were like trading on a show that's like a niche of a niche of a niche.
Right.
And you go, yeah, when it gets down to it, like, oh, there's about 10 people that are interested in this. And I've done a ton of animes that it is just 10 people that are interested. Like, weird titles that are super, went straight to DVD and
eccentrics,
yeah, but they're good. It's just I don't know who watched it or who was into it or what, like there's a very small fan base for that. But there are the people that are into it are really into it, And speaking of 90210, I did a show, I think it was called Marmalade Boy. I mean, it was literally a like 90210 type of a show. It was about I did a couple of them, so I get them confused. So if I'm wrong,
like a BBC series.
But one of them I played, it was about a girl. She was 20 something and she went to the big city and she worked in publishing. It was a fashion magazine. It was like Emily in Paris. I mean, it was literally, and I played the publisher he was like 27. He just got married and had a little kid, and, his life versus these 20-year-olds who are trying to date and figure life out. And that's all the show was. It was like a 90210 show. There was no.
Wait, was this live action or anime?
No, it was anime.
Really?
Because they do the beautiful thing about anime in Japan is that
it's so sophisticated.
Like you could do they have anime porn.
There's something for everybody, literally.
You have an idea for a story, and it's a legitimate discussion. Should we do it animated or should we just hire live action and act it out? And, they might, because of budget or whatever, say it's better as an animated show. But it's not about, like, here we have cartoons are for kids. You know what I'm saying? Little thing, like, or younger. It's changing, for sure.
Yes.
It's definitely changed from when I was coming up. But there's, right now, it is definitely different where adults are very much into the stories and watching them and appreciating them for what they are. But I did a bunch of them, 20 years ago that were just, my character was just a guy in the office, who would give advice to the main character. And I did a lot of them where I played a spoiled rich kid. Japan they tend to like these private school, like as their location. So like Prince of Tennis, it was about a tennis team, but they also they lived in a school together in a dormitory, and they were calling their parents on the weekend and, stuff like that. And their superpowers were all my backhand, and it was real fun. And I played a snobby little rich kid in that one too. And getting in trouble.
Every season of Prince of Tennis or just one of them?
In Prince of Tennis, I was, I'm going to forget his name.
I'll find it. It's on Crunchyroll.
Yeah. No, and he does this thing. He did it like 3 times in the show where he would say, I challenge you to your match. And then loser has to shave their head. Well, guess who gets to shave his head 3 times in the show? It was, but he kind of grew, and then they were on the same team. And by the end of it, it's like that bully is like your little brother who I can make fun of you, but you can't make fun of my little brother.
Right.
I can make fun of my little brother, but you can't. And then he was sort of, he grew into being a good friend of the main character on the show.
Right.
As far as we're on the same team, we have the same goal, and I'm going to protect you so you can win the championship. It's like that.
Right.
Whereas before it was like, oh, why am I not going to go for the championship? I'm just as good as you are. And, God, I wish I could remember his name. This is 20 years ago too, but it was like,
oh no, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to find it. I'm going to find an episode and get back to you.
I was almost typecast as a snobby little rich kid. I guess, I don't know what it was in my voice, like a little whiny or something, that people were like, oh yeah, that guy. The guy you want to hate on a show, right?
Right. The preppy.
Yeah, preppy. And he wasn't like a bad guy. He just was kind of if I can say it, a dick.
Right.
So that was where I kind of, cut my teeth in anime, was doing those kind of shows. And then of course, I don't know where you can see them or where they are anymore, or what.
Oh, Crunchyroll has all of the Prince of Tennis.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they have all it archived. Yeah, for sure.
Like if I find you and I know your voice, I will. That's the one thing that I love about getting to know all of you, is that like the minute I start interviewing you or having you on the show, or we go and do whatever, I'll watch anime and immediately it's just like, and your voice will pop up and I'm like, I know who that is.
Well, I don't know if that's good or bad. Like the guys that work the most, that you shouldn't. Although you say like Steve Bloom has a very distinct voice.
Oh hell yeah!
And he's been on everything.
Yeah.
So
like
I guess
you cannot. Yeah, you can't. His voice reminds me of like watching Will Smith in a movie. It's like you just know Will Smith when you see.
That's right. That's right.
Until he does Orochimaru, and then he totally sounds different.
You have other actors though, and that the goal, most actors would be that you don't sound the same in everything, and my big word, I did a show, it was just a couple of years ago. It's on Netflix, called Kabanari of the Iron Fortress. And I play an engineer. The Iron Fortress is a train.
Right. I'm familiar with that.
Yeah. And I play one of the engineers on the train that keeps it running. And I kept thinking all the way through, it's like, is this too Shikamaru? Does this sound Shikamaru? I gotta keep that out of my head, because I'd done Shikamaru so much. And it's he was kind of a, if you're not on the train by 5 o'clock, we're leaving,
Right.
and he would leave. That was the thing. That was the point, was he would leave. The train would go. If you weren't there, you weren't back. So they're running to try and catch the train, so he was that kind of guy. But it turned out that he would still do anything for everybody. In the later episodes, he crawled under the train while it was moving to repair it and risked his own life. And the whole way through the series, he had set himself up that he's not sticking his neck out for anybody. I'm not going to get killed because you were stupid. That was his whole attitude. But the whole time I was like, is that Shikamaru? Did I throw it? Because Shikamaru is this, he's got that, rasp. And, which is funny, because I hear people at the booth, we're talking like I'm talking to you, and they're like, yeah, we can hear Shikamaru in your voice, and then I drop it into gear and I just like, whatever, what a drag. And they go, because to me, it's like, yeah, you kind of hear it, but when I hit it, when
you get in the zone.
Yeah, exactly. So, because it's funny, I could talk like that I could talk like Shikamaru all day long. If anybody's
without losing your voice at all, or needing tea, or
no, because it's super easy. It's a very quiet whisper. I've been in situations where, because we're at a con or something, I've been talking for 3 days straight, and I kind of go, I tell people, I go, Shikamaru is super easy. Being Tom Gibis, that's a lot. Like, I gotta be up, I gotta be excited, I gotta, seem like I'm interested. Not that I have to fake it. I don't think I do. But what I'm saying is that voice, and you're in a convention hall and you're trying to talk to people, I'll be like, at the end of the weekend, I can barely talk. But then I can talk like Shikamaru for sure. And so,
which is great, especially when you're doing like video games and all this stuff. Because like, well, look, let me put it like this: like last year, you guys worked on a new Bandai Namco Ultimate Ninja Storm game, Naruto Cross Boruto.
Yeah.
Like Amanda told me, basically, y'all had a record amount of lines that you guys did. She said probably about like 30,000 maybe altogether.
Well, for her,
but
yeah, mine was still probably record for Shikamaru. Yeah. But
so
Boruto was the main character, so probably took a month to record that. Yeah,
I can't even fathom. But at the same time, you don't have to yell when you say off your techniques or anything, or you say your lines and everything. So like, unlike Molly, who has to scream everything.
Yeah.
Or Yuri, who has to scream everything.
They save all the screaming for the end. But I bet it gets me too, because a lot of it is battle mode, so it's like right. So that can really get you. And then what's funny though is then I become more Shikamaru, because if my voice is tired, then
and it's another 3 hours for you.
It gives me more gravel. It's like it's perfect. It becomes more Shikamaru than he ever is. And,
right.
That was a fun video game to do too, because
I enjoyed it. I love the new story that they had, the little original story. I think I beat it twice. Like I've really enjoyed the work that was done in there. Like people don't really understand the grunt and grind that you guys go through when you're in that booth. It is madness.
You can't complain though. I mean, it's of jobs. It's the easiest job. It's the hardest job to get, easiest job to do.
Right.
As far as like, I'm not digging ditches. I'm not, on a construction site. I can't complain about being tired. But, and they have to be careful though, because you can blow out your voice and then you're no good to them. So they really keep those sessions where there's a lot of activity short, just so you get a chance to rest your voice a little bit. So
let me ask you this. Like, one of the things that I noticed during the pandemic, and even the SAG after strike that you guys had to go through, just last year, God, thank God that's over.
There's another one coming, which is
I know the video game one is still coming, right?
No, I think that got resolved. There's the grips.
They didn't want that smoke.
It's all the Teamsters and all those guys that they supported us, so we're
absolutely
gonna have to support them. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, but like again, there's times like that in the pandemic. Like I realized that actors who do voice roles, especially in the anime industry, seem to be a little bit more resilient during those times in terms of trying to make an extra buck if they can or whatever like that.
Well, I'll tell you, this pandemic was built for voice actors.
It really was.
We never stopped.
No.
Like
closet studios became a trend.
Yeah, the closet, they did, and I was really bad. I didn't even have this at that point.
Right.
I did build one in my closet. It was awful. But I went in because it was so easy. Like
right.
The engineer and the director are behind glass, or the director would be remote. They would open the back door to the studio. I'd walk in. They'd tell you like Studio A. You walk to Studio A. You go in. You close the door behind you. Put on your earphones. Mm-hmm. No one had been in there for an hour, and they disinfected the room.
Right.
And it was great. It felt so great to just work and like this is normal. And for us, it took my Jamie over at Studiopolis. It took them like 3 days to switch the studio over to where we could be 100% compliant. And they missed like 3 days of work. That was about it.
It was insane. I was so impressed of how you guys were still able to keep the engine going.
Well, regardless of just be able to go in and do a job was like,
or even just be at home and do it. Like I've seen so many crazy, like Kyle.
I will tell you this though, a lot of people preferred that. I always liked going in, partly because from our conversation before we came on, the way I have my setup and how I don't want to be an engineer. I want it to work and I want it to sound good and everything, but I don't want to be an engineer. And a lot of that they'll say, oh, I heard a noise in the background, or you need to re-record this or do that. And they're like, for some reason we're getting a lot of that. Your mic sounds a little, and I'm like, you can be in sessions where all you do is tweak your mic the entire first hour of the session. Yeah. And then at a certain point, you're just like, can I just come in?
There's definitely a science to that.
And anyway, that's what ended up basically happening to me, because I wasn't confident enough in my engineering skills to kind of do it. Now, there's other people like Colleen O'Shaughnessy built this beautiful booth in her house. Her husband built for her. And now she just continues to record from there. And it's like so easy. And it's like,
I think I'll give another one.
Should have done that. Or, you know what I should do is take a class on engineering, sound engineering. But
Chris,
that's my big advice. If you want to succeed in voiceover, become a sound engineer. You know, like take the classes, learn how your computer works, get all that stuff down, and then do a couple of acting classes on the side if you want to be on this side of the microphone. But if you have that skill and you're a good actor, you're gonna work. You're gonna work.
And it's a great tax write-off.
Yeah, and it's a good tax write-off. Well, you have to book enough jobs to do that, but yes.
There you go. Well said. Like, I remember, I've seen, that was the fun part about interviewing a lot of you guys. It's like, or being during panels. I was doing panels for Repop, and Christina V, she had a really crazy, awesome setup. Like, I've seen nothing like this before. I think Amanda.
Steve Bloom has a freaking, like a real studio.
Oh my God.
Like,
it is insane. Well,
like
he teaches classes
to
too
his
now,
house to record stuff like musicians and stuff. Like he had one when he lived in Burbank, and now he's in Hawaii now, and he built one that's like he basically built a business, right next to his house or in his house that is just nothing but recording.
It's awesome,
and it's like top notch. It's so nice.
He teaches classes now too, I mean, I actually know a few students of his.
Yeah, no, it's the great Bloomvox is the great.
He's made quite a name for himself.
What can I do? I say go to take Steve's class. Like he just breaks it all down for you. You know.
Yeah, they've come highly recommended to people. Like everybody I know who taken classes with Steve has said only glowing things about the experience and the people that he get to learn from.
Steve himself is such a positive person.
Yes, he is.
Like he's very motivational, like about taking your career, and you just gotta go, yeah, I want to get out there and do it, you know, because he's the way he talks, it's great. He's just a really, really good guy. So
him and Mary Elizabeth.
Too, yeah. Mary directed all of the Naruto.
Yep. Great. I've worked with her a couple times too, and she's been awesome.
Yeah, very, very good. Very, very good at what she does. She's been doing some Netflix shows now. I think she did She-Ra and a couple other things where she's directing. Yeah, it's either for Nickelodeon or I think it's Netflix.
It's Netflix.
Yeah,
it is awesome. So speaking of the SAG-AFTRA strike, like, what were your thoughts on the results of that? Do you think the guild got it just due from that?
Yeah, I think we got as good a deal as we could get out of that, especially since where we started from on that deal.
Absolutely.
Basically, first of all, every background character had to sign away to use your voice and image in perpetuity forever, you know,
which is crazy.
In their own universe, that they could use it, manipulate it, change it. And, you know, you go with AI, I mean, I could see a situation where, you know, 10, 15 years from now, they wouldn't need to hire any actors for background. They wouldn't need to hire costumers to costume them. They wouldn't need to hire, you know, I don't know. There's a lot. I get it. You know, the future is coming and there's only so much you can do to push back, but there's certain areas where you actually need the human element. We shouldn't be so quick to throw it away. And that's kind of where they were going with it. But
I feel like it's a danger to all artists, in my opinion. Like, I mean, like, I'm a designer too. And I you know, I've done work for many people. I have clients right now, at least right now, until this AI thing develops. But it's scary because our ability and value is on the line, you know, for a technology that may soon make us obsolete in a lot of ways. And it's like, where do we go from here? You know, where's our creativity? Where's our value in life? What's the end game?
The technology gets better and better. So I mean, there's a million things to be said. I don't quite know what to do with it, but other than trying to embrace it and make it yours, I think the places that they can shore up is, you're going to go ahead. You're going to copy my likeness. You're going to use my voice. At least I should get paid.
There you go.
So if if I mean, imagine if, you get a meme on the internet and it's you that says something goofy and then everybody uses it and tags it and puts in their own comments. If you got a nickel every time that showed,
there you go.
That'd be great. But you're not. You did probably the original person who did the video that, the gender reveal didn't work out for or whatever. They ain't getting nothing, and that's even beyond, the acting part of it. But if you're actually showing up on a set and you're doing a job and it's like, great, you're going to play the background. You're a mobster. So we're going to put you in this suit and we're going to scan you and we're going to use you. Great. And then we're going to use you in another movie 10 years from now. Then you should get paid again, which is great.
Agreed.
And then if it's a case of, scan me once, record my voice, use it however you want, long as that money keeps coming in.
That's what it really comes down to. And just, I would say the integrity too.
You doing it yourself, but you can also then, you should have some say like, well, I don't want to be in that kind of a movie or
right.
Something. Yeah.
I mean, just the integrity of it too. I mean, like, I'll give you an example. I don't know if you heard or saw, like Molly got AI'd. I think sometime last year. They managed to get her and Sean Schemmel, who plays Goku from Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
In a collaboration where they both sung one of the songs from the artist known as The Weeknd. And they sung one of his tracks using their voices. And actually, it really did sound good. And she heard it too. And we were just talking on Twitter or X, whatever.
Crazy.
It was like, this sounds good, but I don't like the way this is going right now. She's like, I don't know what to feel about this right now.
In a kind of a different way, we went through this already in culture. In that when they started doing sampling for music, in the beginning, they were just using whatever they want. And then there were a couple of legal things that happened where there were some lawsuits and stuff. And now basically you have to get permission from the original artist.
Right.
To do, unless you change it. But if you're using
definitely, especially in hip hop. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. But we figured it out. We figured out a way that everybody can use it and you can still, the original artist can get paid, or you can build off what they did.
Or you could get credit for it. At least say like, this was from you, whatever like that.
Exactly. Yeah. What I'm saying is we figured it out.
Exactly.
It didn't end with, we can just use any film clip, any music clip, any audio clip of you in an interview and then make a whole new story and do different things with it. So in a way, we already have a frame of reference for that. And I think if we use that as a model and kind of a framework, I think we can probably work something out where you don't have to, AI's here, which is funny. It's just a catchphrase in itself. Using computers to make movies is called CGI. And you know what I mean? It's like, we've been doing it forever.
Right.
Being able to make that look really good now is threatening, but I think we don't necessarily need to run away from it, but we can embrace it and just make sure that everybody who's involved gets credit and
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Well said.
Well, Tom, James Earl Jones, gave his voice to
he did
Industrial Light and Magic, I think it was.
He did just recently,
Yeah, I mean, but I'm sure there's a thing in there that his estate or him will get paid if they use the Darth Vader voice. But he recorded a lot of stuff, and they have a whole bank of James Earl voice samples that they can use. And maybe he's also older. He's like, yeah, fine, it doesn't bother me. But
just keep my legacy going from there.
That's right.
And that's what it really all comes down to. It's a legacy thing.
Yeah, other ways to look at it. And as long as we approach it with a little bit of respect for everybody.
I think the moral and ethics plays a role in here. And I think if the moral and ethics were sound and the integrity was in, I think people will be more to it. But we're worried that it could be used unethically, and it has at this time. We're seeing signs of it, but we're hoping that it could balance out for everybody, that everybody can feel like they have some value and still provide the quality that they are known for. So. Right. Tom, thank you so much for being a part of the show. I got one more question for you.
All right.
But I just want to, you've always been awesome to me, and you've been awesome just in general. I just love you as a person.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
And thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show for my listeners, for our watchers to check you out and see what you've been up to. So greatly appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Can I give you a couple of things I'm doing that
we'll get you the plugs.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
consider the plug.
I'll do a little plug here. I'm doing a thing up May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Up in Santa Clara. Called
Awesome.
Pop Plug is the store. There with Miley. There with Katero, who plays Killer B, and there's one other guy who I'm forgetting because I'm a horrible person. But so it's a toy store signing thing. So we're going up there with Miley. It'll be a lot of fun and just meeting and greeting and doing all that. And then El Paso in June, the weekend of June 22nd, El Paso, Texas. Oh, Anime Expo, July 4th in Los Angeles. So that'll be a lot of fun. And it's over the 4th of July weekend. So if you got nothing to do, or after you've had your barbecue, come to Anime Expo. And I guess, I don't know if they've got a very limited number of slots that I don't know how it quite works. So, but check the Anime Expo website. Maybe I'm not supposed to say anything. I don't know if that's happened yet. Let me put it pending. I'll say pending on that. I haven't gotten a confirmation yet, so I probably shouldn't have mentioned that. I may or may not be at Anime Expo.
Fingers crossed, folks.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're very close to having something. So
my last question to you. Basically, you've been a part of some really cool milestones, opportunities in your life, from working with Dick Clark. And if you guys want to know that story, go check out our previous interview that we did on air on TalkTimeLive.com. Yeah. You were also being a part of 90210 in some form or fashion. That's right. We talked about that. But of course, your role as Shikamaru. But what would you say is your most cherished experience within everything that you've done so far?
It's funny. Being an actor and having a career, it's up, it's down. You think you think you're going to be. I auditioned for the original cast of Everybody Loves Raymond. I went to 3 auditions for that. They changed the show completely. When I auditioned for it, if you remember the show, he lives out in the suburbs and his parents lived across the street. In the original script that I read and auditioned for they lived in a building in New York City and their parents lived across the hall. And I was a guy that lived in the building that was like one of Ray's best friends.
Oh, wow.
I lived with my mother, which was the funny thing. And then I was the one that was going, "Hey, Ray, let's go get a slice of pizza. Let's go do something." And he'd be like, "I can't. I'm watching the kids, And I'd say, "That's the beauty of having your mom and dad live next door. Just knock on the door and hand it a baby and let's go." That kind of thing. And they ended up cutting that part out completely.
Oh, that sucks.
They moved it to the suburbs. And it was supposed to be, I was supposed to be this guy, the Arrested Development guy, lives with his mother,
right?
30-year-old guy who lives with his mother kind of thing. And juvenile type of character. And it was like, oh dang, so close. But I did this show called AUSA. I was on it like 3 or 4 times. So it wasn't quite recurring yet, but I started off with like 1 line, and by the end of it, it was fantastic because Scott Foley was in it. I met Jennifer Garner on that set because they were married at the time. And I played a lawyer in the bullpen, and I was kind of like the lawyer who doesn't care. It was I had really funny lines, and the problem with it was the writers were writing it as we went. Like they kept changing things, and so it was great for me because I could then say, "Can I try something?" And they would say, "Yeah," and then I would do it, and they'd be like, "That's awesome!" And then they were like, "Let's give Tom something else because he was able to knock that out of the park," or whatever it was.
Right.
I had this fantastic day where, went in there. I had 1 line. I came out with like 4 lines. One was the button to the scene. The executives were there and they were like, "Where's this kid been?" And they were like, it was like the best day you could ever have on set. Like everything went my way. I had a live audience. And when I played in front of the audience, all my jokes were landing. And I was just like, yeah, I'm supposed to be here. This is what I'm supposed to do. I felt like this is it. Like we're there, and then that show got canceled. And I mean, the writers were coming over to me going, all we do is think about what can we give this character things to say. And I'm like, yes, please bring me back. I want more. And that's the way it goes. Like the show was struggling. Like I said, because they were struggling and writing on the fly, it allowed me to showcase my talent a little bit,
right,
and get some attention. But in the real world, all those jokes should have been solid coming into the, into the show. And I would have just had to do my one line and get a laugh and then get out of there and hopefully don't fire you. And, but the show ends up getting canceled and you're like, no. Yeah. So anyway, I've had so many that were so close, but that one day was probably the funnest day I ever did. And I just was like on fire, and I don't know what I was doing but I was definitely in my zone, and it just felt so good when it works, when you're in front of a live studio audience too. When it works, it's just golden. And my background is improv. So I was working that crowd, and, you just go, yeah. This is it, so that was
did that
fun.
Moment help you to did it further invigorate you for other opportunities, ahead?
Yeah. Well, you expect that things are going to happen, and then nothing happens.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even get, these guys go and work on other shows, these writers, these showrunners and all that. And then, they don't call you. Now, sometimes they do. Miley has been very fortunate. She worked on it was like a pilot or something, and the showrunner really liked her.
The ABC pilot. Yeah.
Yeah.
That she did. And then that got canceled.
Didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then they came to ABC with another idea, and they got it. And then they were like,
not dead yet.
I don't know what we're going to do with Miley, but we're going to put her in this thing. And that's what you need in this industry.
Yes.
And they saw her talent, and everything they gave her, she knocks it out of the park. She plays a quirky character, and it's just like you can just tell they give her that one line, and she makes it gold. And
it stands out every single episode that I've watched.
Yep.
She just
not dead yet. Not dead yet.
Yes, not dead yet. Look, if you see any post that I put on her page, it's like highlighting some of the things that I so enjoy her. Yeah. She is just hilarious because she just comes out of nowhere. Yeah. And she just pops up. It is just like it's so even if you don't know her, it's like it's such a funny moment.
That's the way you want it to work, Although both Miley and I, she's had a great career. I've had not as great career, but you struggle, and we're in our 50s now, and it's like I'm so glad it's happening for Miley. She and I can sit and just trade stories about that was almost my shot. That was I was so close. What did I say? Did I piss somebody off? Why is the universe not opening up? Right. Little side story about that. I think when she started working on that show, a lot of the crew kind of started figuring out that she was Naruto.
Yes. And we had that talk.
And they were coming up to her and asking for autographs, or can you sign this for my nephew or whatever. And the other cast, the main cast was like, why is everybody giving Miley so much attention? Like, what's going on? What? and then she revealed, well, I'm Naruto.
Yes.
And now they're kids, and they're, everybody who's got a nephew or a niece wants something signed from her.
Yes.
So it's really fantastic.
What's so great? Let me piggyback on that story, because I got one from last year. Her, Lisa, and my wife, I took her to this restaurant that we go to when she's in Philly. Yeah. Really awesome. Like, if you come to Philly, we go on there. Like, the minute, in fact, if you let me, you better let me know that you're coming to Philly. That's all I'm saying. I will not forgive you if you don't tell me that you're coming to Philly. You need a good guide. But we went to this restaurant, this really awesome restaurant that we normally go to all the time. And, it's one of those hot club, spots of Philadelphia. And it's real loud. Everybody's active and everything. But for some reason, we're talking, and Miley's distinct voice kicks out. And our server, not being actually a fan, but who was the fan? The chef.
Oh, that's a good one.
That was across, and some of the other servers that was in there. And somehow, some way, during our conversation, they heard her voice, and it's like, remember I just talked about when, whenever I watch anime and I hear you guys' voice and I can pop out of it, happened. And our server came up to us and is like, I don't mean to pry, but our chef over there seems to believe that you happen to be an actor. Is any over here anime actor in anime? And she said, me, yes. And she somehow pulls out a bunch of autograph cards and say, like, how many of you? And she was just so gracious.
I'll tell you something. I made those autograph cards for her.
Are you serious? That's awesome.
Because every time we go out when we're at a con together, every single time we go to dinner, it'll be somebody in the restaurant will clue in on it. It doesn't happen to me when I'm by myself, but it always happens to me when I'm with Miley. And so I said, we should have something that you can just do a little thing. And, especially with waiters and waitresses and the staff, we're giving them a signature after they gave you a fantastic meal or a great experience. Like, you want to just, absolutely, I'll take care of you, do that.
And that's exactly what she did.
Little cards, and I made one I made a couple different ones for her. Some she gives away at shows. These are, they have a little autograph blank on the back.
Yes, exactly.
And she has to now carry those like in her purse all times.
Everything you just explained, that's exactly what happened. And it was like the coolest thing ever. It was just an awesome thing to see, and just how gracious she took the time to do it. And it was so well done. Good job.
And what's funny is everybody else in the restaurant goes, "What's going on?" It's like,
because they were those kids.
Shikamaru Nara. Is that? I'm going to tell my son because he listens to that or watches it or whatever. Here, how do you spell it? And it's like,
no, I mean those. Just
tell him you met the lazy ninja. The lazy ninja.
Just say what a drag, and they'll get
what
it.
A drag.
No, those kids that day, they were all like in the age of knowing that what it was, and it was awesome. I mean, it's just again one of those moments that just makes people smile after doing so much or having to grind or whatever. It was just an awesome thing to see. It was.
I don't know if Amanda Miller told this story, but she and I did. We did a thing at Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con. Big deal. Nike was doing a release. Zion Williamson, who plays for the Pelicans, has a Air Jordan shoe that is Naruto themed shoe because he's super into anime.
Right.
And so he requested get some of the actors to come down. So it was Amanda and myself. I was the Naruto side of it. Miley couldn't do it, or she had a conflict or something. Yeah. And I was like, why are they taking me? But apparently he may or may not have asked for me by name. Which I'm like, I hope he did, but I don't know how he would know me, but it was great. So we went down there, and so they wanted us to do a little, like a skit. They wrote a little script for us, and we're doing our characters. And the whole idea was Boruto was trying to win the Hidden Village basketball tournament, and Zion will come in, and then I'm coming up like, what's going on? Why, are you trying to cheat or something like that?
Yeah.
And want to drag the whole thing. But we're sitting at the table. I met Zion. He's a very quiet guy. We shake hands, and he's like, okay, yeah, it's good. And I was like, didn't want to bother him. He's a big star. And so Amanda and we sit at a table because they want us to rehearse the script. Yeah. So, we're rehearsing. We did the nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. Let's just go through this a couple times. That's fine. And, Amanda does her line, and then I do my thing, and it ends with like first time I spoke in the script, and I just, click into second gear and, do the, come on, Boruto, this is such a drag. And he goes, stop. And he just covers his face, and he's like,
he just figured it out.
And like, it hit him, like it was so charming, awesome. But it was also like, it was so great. Like he knew it, like, and he just was like, oh my God. And I felt like, who am I? And like, he was so
starstruck, Zion.
So happy about it. And then we did the thing, and it was great. He's awesome. He's super sweet guy. So very nice. And he wears my wristband.
That's
I give
awesome.
out wristbands, Miley does it too, but I have little wristbands. They say different things like, sometimes I wish it was a cloud or whatever. So Zion, and you see him, if you go to like his Instagram account right now and look at like him practicing or in a game, sometimes on ESPN highlight, that hand goes up above the rim and you go, yes, that's my wristband.
That's awesome. That is fantastic.
I gave him and his family just a ton of like, swag, and I signed a bunch of stuff for them and everything. And he was just, over the moon, and super great guy. And it was such a fun experience. We had like 2,000 people in that exhibit hall or whatever. I mean, it was just nuts. And that was like a bucket list moment,
That's awesome.
Where I'm not necessarily acting, but I was just having fun, doing.
Well, it's one of those milestone moments, what I'm saying? Like
going to Comic-Con, I think was like, okay, I've kind of arrived.
No, I would agree, because I've been to San Diego Comic-Con twice, and it is like, I mean, no offense to every other comic convention, even New York to some extent.
Yeah.
That is still the Mecca.
Well, it's a whole different thing.
It is huge.
And it's because their movies are at the same time we were doing our thing. The Rock was doing something for Black Adam,
right.
It's like, that's what you're competing against. It's not like, what's the one with Luffy? One Piece guys against the Naruto guys. Like,
right, exactly.
Who can draw a bigger crowd. We'll stagger that because it's the same crowd base, right?
Right.
This is like The Rock, Dwayne Johnson is on stage live right now
at Hall H,
and we
of all
still
places.
Like 3,000 people in our hall that just wanted to see Naruto stuff.
Right.
And specifically Amanda, who's Boruto, and me, which is like crazy. I mean, it's one of those like, wow. And
it is a testament of how great you guys have done
and
throughout the years with that show.
I didn't have headshots. I didn't have any signed prints. I didn't have stickers. None of that. I had nothing. Like the last big interview that we did together before the nothing. I didn't have any of that stuff. So
I'm glad to see you evolved.
How far I've come. Yeah, exactly.
Tom, thank you so much for being on the show, man. Before we head off, please, you already said what you were going to do. I got to ask a question on behalf of one of my ACMG members of our group. She said she missed a chance to meet you at a con at South Texas. Oh. Are you going to be heading there anytime soon, or are there any plans? I know that sometimes it's just like whatever just pops up.
I'm doing El Paso, which is on the west side of the state, and then I'm doing Houston around Christmas.
Okay.
So December.
She'll be watching this, and I'm pretty sure she'll be happy to hear that. I think her and her family would love to make a road trip.
I don't in June. Just if you're following me, I'll announce. But I'm doing a Streamly thing. So if you do miss me, I can do a Streamly thing. I can get things signed to you, and I've got a bunch of cool new prints and all sorts of things that you can get signed, Funko Pops and kunai knives and whatever you collect.
And in case she doesn't, can you just say hi, Tasha?
Hi, Tasha. Hi, Tasha. Such a drag we didn't meet. Whatever. Such a drag.
Boy, did I get points.
Tom, Tasha. And I'm also on Cameo, by the way. And
of course.
Talk about the improv skills, and I can talk like Shikamaru all day. I can give you a whole like 5 minutes of Shikamaru if you want it. So check out Cameo.
And where exactly on social media can they follow you as well? Make sure, please let them know.
At the real Tom Gibis on all platforms. I'm not on whatever was Twitter and is now X.
I don't blame you. I do not blame you at all.
I'm on Instagram and I'm on TikTok. They're going to take away from me after I got close to 600,000 followers.
Yeah.
At one point I had 608,000 followers, and now I have 597. And that's just because for whatever reason, you end up getting a lot of bots and stuff. And
stupid algorithms.
Well, and I also think kids do this thing where there's the account that their parents know about, and then there's the account where they can be little jerks.
Thank you for saying that. I've had this conversation with so many people. Like, do you realize how many trolls that you are talking to, that you're arguing with? It might be like 13 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you take a step back and just leave it alone?
Yeah. So anyway, I think TikTok clears them out a lot. Like just trying to, but it hurts me and my numbers.
Yeah.
I'm going around, I got 608, and it's like, no,
I would just say like migrate them as much as possible to other places just in case.
Yeah, no, exactly. Now the big thing is follow me on Instagram, get over to Instagram,
Yeah.
And Instagram's so much harder to grow. I have like 18,000 on Instagram, and I can't get, it's 18.9. It's been there for like a year and a half.
And their algorithm is so suspect anyway too. So I'm a little.
I feel like they push back. Like they don't offer you new eyeballs. They're just giving it to the people you already.
It has changed dramatically. Like the time, let me put it like this: the time when we did the panel in 2000, it was way different to be able to promote and post any of my panels or interviews and get a lot of traction. It is so not like that now because it's so monetary based. And then when you do invest in the monetary aspect of it, it doesn't exactly give you everything you want. So I'm always a little wary about how meta works in these type of situations.
And this is where I get suspicious because TikTok is a lot more where the users can make a little money. I don't think I've made, somebody asked me to promote a t-shirt and I made a few bucks for that. But I've never figured out like, well, how do you from views
monetize? Yeah.
Again, I need like a kid who can explain it and say, you and me
both at this case. I'm getting to that point myself.
But my point is that people were making money on TikTok and then, guess what? We're going to take it away. Instagram, people were started making money and then they changed the way you could make money. So now Instagram makes money. And
it's
platform providers, the content providers make a lot less. YouTube has changed a little bit, but that was the only place you could make money. And I kind of feel like the one where the end user can make money is the one they're going to get rid of.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how this goes because the war is on.
Or if this is all, I feel like that's all blown up, but it does, I'm not a conspiracy guy, so I don't know. I just think that I do kind of think though that like, Zuckerberg and those guys are going, that's great. Get rid of it.
Yeah. Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. So, Tom, thank you again, folks. I hope you enjoyed this very special episode of Talk Time Live exclusive with myself and the one and only Tom Gibis. And that'll do it for us. On behalf of myself, this is Dax with Tom. All I got to say is learn to let go, live life, and love all things anime, comics, movies, and games. This is ACMG Presents Talk Time Live. We are out of here. Take care.
And I hope it wasn't a drag.